Hello, this is Garden State News Now. I'm Joti Rekhi. New Jersey Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim are vowing to oppose a key DHS funding bill, calling the agency out of control and unaccountable. Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, say they won't provide the votes needed to pass it amid filibuster rules. Senator Kim called for an investigation into ICE during a speech on the floor of the Senate.
There are things that this administration can do today to restore that sense of safety and security. For instance, they can pull ICE and CBP agents out of their operations in Minnesota, in Maine, de-escalate the fear that American communities are facing. This administration can also allow and clearly articulate the need for an independent investigation. Investigations into the murder of Renee Good, into Alex Pretti. Actually, in terms of all the 12 of the shootings that DHS agents since September of last year have conducted, that deserves the same level of transparency and accountability.
Meanwhile, four New Jersey House Democrats, Donald Norcross, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Rob Menendez, are pushing further, calling for ICE to be abolished in its current form. Now, this could risk a partial government shutdown. In New Jersey, Republicans are navigating their minority status under newly inaugurated Democratic Governor Mikey Sherrill by emphasizing collaboration on shared concerns. They're also rebuilding party unity after election losses. Republican leader Senator Anthony Bucco says they are focusing their message to push priorities like tackling high property taxes, energy and healthcare costs, and overall affordability to make the state more livable for families.
Well, I think it's the overall cost of living. We have to do something here to help our families, to give them some hope, with New Jersey. It's always constantly take. We have to find a way to give them something back. And I understand this is going to be a tough budget process, but, I've said before, it's time for us to look at the state budget and make some hard choices.
New Jersey must have a new budget by June 30th to avoid a government shutdown. Meantime, in Hillsborough, 37-year-old Patrick J. Lynn faces murder charges for allegedly bludgeoning his parents, David and Jean Lynn, to death in their home last September. Police shot Lynn after finding him armed at the scene. He has been hospitalized since. The community mourns David Lynn, a dedicated advocate for Asian American Pacific Islanders. In Newark, a 44-year-old man is charged with robbery and impersonating an ICE agent after allegedly posing as immigration enforcement to rob victims. Julio Garcia Barrera is accused in at least 2 incidents last week on North 8th Street, where he used a fake emblem, flashlight, and threats to steal cash during pat-downs. He was arrested nearby in a parked vehicle. A suspended New Jersey municipal judge defended threatening truant students with deportation, telling a disciplinary panel his empty threats were just to scare them into school. Britt J. Simon admitted grilling immigrant teens about their status and warning of enforcement actions. Counsel urged a permanent ban for his egregious conduct. The hearing now continues. A bipartisan coalition of 35 attorneys generals led by New Jersey's acting AG, Jennifer Davenport, is demanding immediate action from XAI to stop its Grok chatbot from generating non-consensual intimate deepfakes. They claim it includes sexually explicit images of children and child sexual abuse material. In a letter sent this week, the AGs call the content sickening and warn it may violate state and federal laws. They're pressing XAI to block such outputs entirely, remove existing harmful images, suspend offending users, report them to authorities, give people control over their own images being edited by Grok, and ensure safeguards aren't just paywalled. In Newark, a couple has been indicted for allegedly scamming over $715,000 in federal PPP loans during the pandemic. Sabrina Mitlow and Joseph Mitlow, formerly of Piscataway, are charged with conspiracy to commit bank fraud. Prosecutors say they submitted fake applications for businesses with no employees, using falsified tax documents and cashing phony payroll checks. They appeared in court last week and were released on bond. If convicted, each faces up to 30 years in prison. The Hackensack School District discovered its deficit is higher than previously reported, rising to about $17 million. A state corrective action plan mandates cuts to programs and the elimination of jobs to address the shortfall. An independent audit found financial mismanagement, including unaccounted hiring and improper expenditures. The district has filed a lawsuit against its former superintendent and business administrator. Community reaction includes distrust and calls for accountability as residents grapple with the fiscal crisis. On his final day in office, Governor Phil Murphy signed a 5-bill package to boost access to social services and workforce training at New Jersey's community colleges. The legislation, sponsored by Senators Andrew Zwicker, Joe Cryan, and Troy Singleton, aims to help students, especially those from low-income households, overcome barriers outside the classroom and secure high-quality jobs in growing fields like clean energy, tech, and manufacturing. Washington Township Police showcased true community spirit during a fierce snowstorm. Officers helped stranded drivers and seniors, but the highlight came Wednesday when a school bus got stuck on Pittman Downer roads with kids aboard. 5 officers, Swan, Chicka, Yellow, Rossi, Tucker, and McNair, pushed and shoveled the bus free, ensuring safe passage to school. And we are barely done digging out from this past weekend's storm. So let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta for a look at the Garden State forecast. Mike, I hear more snow is on the way.
Jyoti, another round of snow. Can you believe it? It's only for the coast. Let's get a check of that forecast right now for New Jersey.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So keeping an eye first on the coldest air we've experienced in years here in New Jersey, and that goes right into this weekend. Into Friday and Saturday morning, wind chills will be well below zero with temperatures anywhere from 35 to 40 degrees below their averages. Anytime you get 20 degrees above or below average, that's where you start to see if you'll break some temperature records. These will be unprecedented lows going into Friday and Saturday. Look at the wake-up temperatures on Saturday morning, -4 in northern New Jersey, 5 at the beaches, even 9 out on LBI. So the cold is locked in place, but that cold is preventing from a lot of snow to reach the ground across places north and west of even the turnpike, as the air is simply too dry and the pressure is too high. So yes, a very strong system offshore. You see the shades of dark blue and even the pink showing the storm center just out to sea. But unless you find yourself Atlantic City and south, you probably won't get much of any snow this weekend. And the reason for that, of course, is that dry air pushing the whole system out to sea. Places across the mid-Atlantic picking up heavy snowfall amounts. But again, in New Jersey, likely just going to tap into a light accumulation across most of the state. The heaviest, again, will be well down to the parts of Atlantic City and south. Early in the morning, you pick up a light accumulation, maybe plowable, but again, extreme southern New Jersey, Cape May County and Atlantic County, and that's about it. The rest of the state likely staying dry. The bigger story, the extreme cold. High temperatures on Saturday in the 20s. High temperatures on Sunday, barely cracking the mid-20s. And even Monday, we might get back to the freezing mark for the first time in about 10 days. So that cold continues into next week. We'll take a check of what you can expect coming up in just a bit when we give you another weather update.
Thanks so much, Mike. I think I'm in the clear, so I can deal with that, but that bitter cold, not looking forward to it.
I know, Jyoti, and even through the middle of February, it looks like this cold is here to stay, so we're in it for the long duration.
It's okay, we can handle it. We're Jersey strong, right? Thanks so much, Mike. Coming up, how to keep yourself safe from a new scam that can seem pretty convincing. Stick with us after the break. Welcome back. Governor Mikey Sherrill is demanding President Trump restore $16 billion in funding for the Gateway Tunnel project, calling his refusal a, quote, illegal attack on the state. She posted a statement saying, if the president does not restore funding to the Gateway Tunnel project, which I was proud to help secure while serving in Congress, he will single-handedly kill nearly 100,000 jobs and $20 billion in economic activity. The rail link under the Hudson River has been under construction, but federal funds are frozen amid a contract review. The White House blames Democrats for blocking a deal, urging them to prioritize Americans over illegal immigrants. Joining us now to discuss the Gateway Tunnel project is John Wisniewski, a longtime New Jersey state legislator, former chair of the New Jersey State Assembly Transportation Committee, and a commissioner on the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. Thank you so much for joining us.
Joti, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So as someone who has followed the Hudson River Rail Tunnel issues for years, including the original ARC project and its cancellation under Governor Christie, how significant is the Gateway project to New Jersey's economy, commuters, and overall infrastructure resilience?
Well, it's important to New Jersey, but it's also important to New York. It's also important to the United States. The Northeast Corridor, the train line that runs through that tunnel, contributes a significant percentage to America's GDP. And so when President Trump is talking about hamstringing this project, cutting funding, making it harder to get it done, he's basically saying, as president, he wants to harm not only New Jersey and New York, but he wants to harm the nation. It makes absolutely no sense unless you really get into some type of psychological analysis of him just wanting to exert pressure because he childishly feels aggrieved for some reason.
So that letter from congressional Democrats, including Senators Booker and Kim, it stresses that the federal commitment that's already locked in, and that's $6.88 billion in grants plus other supports, and that a DOT review of diversity hiring practices appears complete. From your perspective, we were kind of talking about it a moment ago, is this holdup truly about compliance, or do you think it appears to be more political in nature?
Oh, it's clearly political. I mean, first of all, the review on diversity hiring is, again, just a smokescreen for President Trump and his allies to exert raw racism into national policy. He continues. I mean, remember last time there was a government shutdown to single out this project because he's very frustrated that voters in New York State, voters in New Jersey don't embrace the kind of crazy ideology that he represents. And so this is his only way of striking back.
So he has said publicly that he terminated the project during that shutdown, and he blamed Democrats like Chuck Schumer for blocking the progress. The White House now says Democrats won't negotiate. So what's your take on this back and forth, and how does it fit into broader patterns of federal state infrastructure funding?
So again, this is like the craziness that has been normalized under President Trump, trying to answer his statement that Democrats won't negotiate. What's to negotiate? This is a project that was agreed upon, that was funded, that he is the one who continually comes back in looking to take a second bite at the apple. And that's, Trumpism at its core. Whatever is agreed upon, whatever is the law, whatever is established, he seeks to upturn and overturn. And I think collectively what Leader Schumer, Senator Booker, Senator Kim, and everybody else who is advocating for this is doing the right thing. This is important for the nation. It's important for New York. It's important for New Jersey. It's important for all those communities along the Hudson River that depend on getting across that body of water. It's just sheer lunacy for the president or any of his allies, whether it's Stephen Miller or anybody else in the administration, to even suggest that this project should do anything other than be completed.
It's important also for the workers. The Gateway Development Commission says that they've exhausted their $500 million credit line, and they're going to have to lay off about 1,000 workers starting February 6th if those funds aren't released. So what would the immediate and long-term impacts be for New Jersey workers, families, and the Northeast Corridor rail network in general?
If Chris Christie hadn't canceled the original Trans-Hudson Tunnel, commuters would be using it today. And so the political gamesmanship that has plagued this tunnel has real devastating consequences. And one of those is the fact that there are a lot of people who depend on their livelihood about this project. And for a president that has been trying to make the argument that he is the leader who's best for the economy, cutting out thousands upon thousands of construction jobs, and don't forget, all of the downstream vendors that are supporting this project, whether they are engineering firms or the local food vendors that are feeding a workforce, this has devastating economic impact for the entire region, not just New Jersey.
And I believe we have seen some of those construction workers from my friends in New York City. I've seen them posting because some of the construction workers, they have been outspoken about the impact that it's going to potentially have on them. But this project, you brought up a point about leadership. It has historically enjoyed broad support from Republicans, from unions, business groups, and both states. So let's talk a little bit more about why you think it's become a flashpoint now and what you think it's going to take to get the funding flowing again quickly.
Well, it's not a flashpoint now. It's Republican leaders have used this as a political football. Chris Christie used this as a political football so that he could divert the money to the Transportation Trust Fund for other projects. It had nothing to do with the merits of the project. Now, his ally, the guy, remember, Chris Christie was the first person to endorse Donald Trump for president. Donald Trump is now taking a play out of the Christie playbook and saying, hey, I'm going to stop this project as well. It hurts ordinary working men and women, especially, the president doesn't realize there are people who voted for him that are going to be put out of work by his actions. There are people that support him ideologically that are going to be hurt by his actions. And I think what has to happen here is there has to be a bipartisan response, not just by New Jersey U.S. senators, but by New York U.S. senators, and on a bipartisan basis, the House delegations from both states saying that this is something that is a necessary addition to the American economy, not just the regional economy.
No, you got to my last question, which I was going to ask you what the message was to federal leaders. If you want to just give me a couple of seconds about what that message would be directly.
So this rail line is a vital link, not just between two states, but for an entire region. And statistics have shown from a variety of sources that this contributes a huge percentage to the gross domestic product of the United States. Not having this built will hurt us economically. Not having this built will show the world that the United States can't build big projects anymore. So it's bad for our economy, it's bad for our national security, and it's bad for our reputation in the world as a nation that used to be able to get big things done and now suddenly can't because political ideology matters more than actually getting something done.
Yeah, interesting. You're right. It does send a message. We're on kind of a global stage. Everybody's watching the hub, realistically, of the Northeast. So I appreciate your time, John. I appreciate your insight, and we'll check in with you sometime soon, I'm sure, as this progresses and develops.
Thanks, Joti. Appreciate the opportunity.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
You know, Jyoti, there is so much cold weather up and down the East Coast that even though most of New Jersey doesn't see much, if any, snow this weekend, what we will get is that brutal cold. So take you through Friday into Saturday, and with the winds that'll be gusting by the end of this weekend to 40 miles per hour on LBI, right? That's actually for Saturday night. 25 mile per hour gusts in Mount Holly, 21 mile per hour gusts in Newark. Couple that with the cold air, and it gets brutally cold with the wind chill. We could see gusts as high at the peak of the storm. This is overnight into early Sunday morning, near 50 mile per hour gusts out on Ship Bottom there in LBI. That's due to the storm's intensity as it makes its closest pass to the coast, and then as it pulls away, more cold air is dragged in behind it, making it feel that much colder. So what does that mean for a wind chill? Well, that calculates the wind chill of 20 degrees below zero in Morristown for first thing Friday morning. Even down the shore, minus 10 is your feels like temperature. We get another round of cold for Saturday morning. Feels like 16 below in Morristown, 7 below in Hackensack, and those negative numbers keep on rolling right through Sunday morning as that snow wraps up and pulls away. Again, heaviest totals, if any, will be down the shore south of Toms River, showing the futurecast with most of this pulling out very quickly. So here's the high resolution futurecast, which is why you see that line there, because there's really no point in forecasting for the fish in the ocean. So all of the computer energy is kind of diverted and the power for this storm that works up the coast. And you can see that once it really gets cranking, kind of spins around there and curls into a tight ball, it works very quickly off to the north and east, a different track than last weekend's storm, which had it going from west to east. This one taking more of that up the coast type of deal, but it's a little too far out to sea to really impact many places west of the Turnpike. That's why unless you're east of the Parkway and south of Atlantic City, you're probably not going to see much of any snow this weekend. And then it all clears out by the end of the weekend, and we are back to sunshine come Monday. But it's going to be cold this upcoming weekend, especially with temperatures all across New Jersey not getting higher than 24 degrees by Sunday afternoon, feeling like the teens.
We'll take that sun where we get it. Thanks so much, Mike. I look forward to seeing that full forecast after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Amazon has announced it's closing all its physical Amazon Fresh grocery stores and Amazon Go cashier-less convenience locations nationwide, including 4 in New Jersey, Eatontown, Lodi, Paramus, and Woodland Park. The company says while it saw some positive signs, it hasn't developed a distinctive customer experience or scalable economic model for broad expansion. Amazon Fresh will continue as an online brand for grocery delivery. Some closing stores will be converted to Whole Foods markets, with plans to open 100 new Whole Foods locations over the next few years. If you have Horizon New Jersey health insurance and you use CVS Pharmacy for your prescriptions, you may have to pay full price for your scripts. As of April 30th, CVS pharmacies will be out of network for the health insurer. The change will impact hundreds of thousands of New Jersey residents enrolled in the program. Patients can transfer prescriptions to other in-network pharmacies or use prescription discount services to save money. Travelers at Atlantic City International Airport gain a new airline. Breeze Airways launched nonstop flights to Charleston, South Carolina, and Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, starting in May, with fares from just $39 one way. In June, connect to Tampa via Raleigh. Breeze, founded by JetBlue's David Neeleman, joins Allegiant and Spirit to meet growing demand. Exciting news for music lovers in Monmouth County. Just in time for summer, a brand new outdoor concert venue called Park Stage is launching through a partnership between the Count Basie Center for the Arts and Monmouth County Tourism. This fresh live music destination ties into the Basie Center's centennial celebration and builds excitement for America's 250th anniversary, promising major acts, vibrant community vibes, and a significant economic boost for local businesses.
And we figured this would give a boost to the economy and the businesses by having some type of venue like this in the central part here too also, so that the people from the western part of the county and the central part of the county, they can, have an event center to go to. And we have the great fairgrounds, the East Freehold Park grounds. So we're have a better place. Obviously, it's very successful at our Monmouth County Fair. So, hey, let's move on it even more.
For more information on the concert series, visit parkstage.org. If you're looking for a good laugh, you're in luck. One of the most familiar faces in comedy and one of the stars of Impractical Jokers is bringing his stand-up show back to New Jersey. James "Murr" Murray is hitting the stage with Murr Live, the Errors Tour, coming to the Stress Factory in New Brunswick on February 20th and 21st.
My show is stand-up comedy, but the other that's only half the show. The other half I completely make up as I go. It's like an improv show, just like Joker's is an improv show. So I play 2 games with the audience that I think are really unique for a stand-up comedy show. One is I borrow 3 audience members' cell phones, and from their phones, I start texting people on their behalf, as if it's them. God. And then we have to deal with the consequences live as it happens. And inevitably, I'll end up FaceTiming people from their phone on screen at the Stress Factory. It's a really fun game. And then the last thing I do in my show is I play Impractical Jokers live, meaning I choose somebody from the audience, put an earpiece in their ear, send them out into the streets of New Jersey. We watch on screen in the club, and live on the spot, they've got to do and say whatever I tell them to. It's outrageous.
He's also staying busy with new episodes of Impractical Jokers, which premiered January 15th and airs every Thursday on TBS. And fans may be surprised to learn about his passion project, the Pacific Southern Railway. Do you have snowman building skills? Totowa, Little Falls, and Woodland Park are hosting snowman building contests for folks in the area. Build a snowman and submit the photo. You could win a prize. The contests are being organized by local recreation departments and community groups. There's no age restriction. If you'd like to enter, go to the official Facebook page for Woodland Park. Plus, you can use My Woodland Park app, or in Little Falls, check the Little Falls Biz Facebook group. All right, let's get one last look at the weather. Meteorologist Mike Favetta is back. I don't know if there'll be any snowman building with this weekend's snow, but take us through the upcoming week. It's hard to believe that it's already February.
Hard to believe, February around the corner, and with so much cold air, you know, Jyoti, it's like January had 39 days, you know, not 29 days. And here we go into the weekend. We are dealing with the cold. Let's get a check of the forecast and see just how cold it'll be.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Yeah, so in the January, the month that never seems to end, the cold that doesn't seem to quit, this cold is forecast to stay well below average right through Valentine's Day weekend. So getting into the first few weeks of February, look at all of this cold air, the core of the Arctic cold that sticks around through the next several weeks, extending right down to Florida. I mean, even South Florida tapping into that extreme cold. Out west is where you can find the warmer than average weather, so places like Southern California, Vegas, looking dry, looking warm. Our chances of seeing more dry weather may persist as it's just been too cold for any precipitation to come down, whether it be snow, especially for this weekend, or, of course, too cold to rain. But notice with the cold that lingers right through the weekend, overnight lows down in the teens and single digits, we get back to the first time of freezing in more than 10 days and stay there on Tuesday afternoon at 33, and then right back down into the freezer by the end of next weekend, where we're watching another potential system on the way in about a week. So again, the shore points have the best opportunity to see that accumulating snow on early Sunday morning, lasting into the afternoon, and then it's all quiet but still cold next week and beyond.
Bundle up or go west. At least they'll have good weather for the Super Bowl.
It's true. And the wind, you know, before we showed you those wind chills, howling winds all weekend long. So even though we don't have the snow, it still have the awful, awful biting cold that makes it feel like it's below zero this weekend.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you all for watching. I'm Joti Rekhi. Check ONNJersey.com for more news and weather throughout the day.